This episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. When was the last time you guys needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off and you made the excuse that you're too busy or it'll heal on its own or you don't need help? I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can feel really daunting, but thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it really easy to find and book a doctor who is right for you. It's a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment.
Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/wildest to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/wildest, ZocDoc.com/wildest.
Welcome to World's Wildest.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. If you have not been to this podcast before, I'm Maya.
I'm Connor.
And we're your co-hosts of World's Wildest. This is a nature podcast, and we teach you about some of Earth's most extreme creatures. We do a little bit of research every week. This week, maybe a lot of research. And we teach you about nature, and it's awesome. We're also on Patreon if you want to check us out over there. We have bonus content.
Ad-free?
Ad-free.
Yeah.
And other fun stuff. I have some experience working at zoos. I have experience with birds of prey. Connor's got experience with birds of prey and with some megafauna in Alaska, and some vet tech experience. Neither of us know very much about eyeballs or vision. But today, our episode is World's Best Vision.
I've done a bunch of eye surgeries before.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, I helped. I didn't do them, I should say.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Enucleations.
Yeah.
A lot on dogs. I did help with the cataract surgery where you replace the lens in like a bald eagle. So when I helped, I mean, like, you just drop the scalpel and stuff like that. Like, I learned and saw how it worked and like handed them the machine to suck the lens out and stuff like that. But like, it's the eyeball is really easy to operate on if you're removing it, and anything else is like crazy complex.
Okay. How's your vision?
Not great.
What's your prescription?
I don't know. What do you?
Connor wears glasses.
I've never worn contacts ever, and I will never wear contacts.
That's not so bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Why won't you wear? Oh,
I don't want any. I have a fear of things going in my eye.
Oh, okay. I wear contacts, but it's 0.5.
I think
and
mine's
like 0.75. Yeah, you're usually not bad.
around the same.
Kind of thought you'd be blind for some reason. Okay.
Built-in safety glasses, though, when I'm like doing metal shaving, like metal work.
Those aren't safety glasses.
It's better than not having them.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Connor, tell us a little bit about your journey into your research today.
I know physics equations now for how we can predict what animals can see what light, and how far away they can see stuff and their focal lengths and all that. There is a bunch of research out there that's very specific and niche, but then again, there's not that much like simplified research out there, and not a ton of articles, and people don't really mess with eyes all that much.
Remember when everyone thought dogs saw in black and white?
Yeah.
Well, I actually saw the worst thing that I found in my research was giraffes are the only animals that see in color.
That's crazy. There's so much misinformation out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dogs don't see in black and white, y'all. If you still thought that, that's okay. But they don't. They see more like blues and yellows. Yeah. So they see in a different color spectrum than we do, but it's not in grayscale. Yeah, I think Connor and I, when looking at this episode, we were like, okay, we'll do World's Best Vision. But then when we found the animals to talk about, it was just like, this animal has the best vision because they can see this far.
Yeah.
Or this animal has the best vision because they can see this many colors. But that's not enough. And so then Connor was like, okay, you do a breakdown of this, and I'll do a breakdown of this. And I picked the easy ones, and I still got confused.
It's rough. Like, there's the more they study it, like the more they're like, well, actually, we need to break this category down into 20 subcategories.
Yeah.
Because it all differentiates. And then they were like, we looked at 2,000 types of eyes. Here are all the physics breaks down for all of these eyes. We're going to try to categorize them into 8 categories for like based on the physics. And then you have an article bashing that research article about, well, that's not how you should break down and identify eye structures and stuff like that. Oh, I had 5 pages of research notes condensed down to 3.
Okay. You want to go ahead and start us off? Where would you like to begin?
I want to tell you my biggest thing, misinformation I found real quick.
Okay.
So there was, it was shared a lot by some reputable sources too. But the post was, an owl's eyes can weigh up to 3 pounds.
That's crazy.
Like some of your biggest owls are like 8 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 pounds, which is like, no, that's not realistic. And you're like,
that's so dumb.
The researchers are like, all right, well, it's like 5% of, like, it's a large percentage of their head.
Yeah.
And a large percentage of their weight for eyes compared to ours.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's like maybe like 5% or something like that. Like it's large, but not that large.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was crazy. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm going to break it down. We're going to base everything off of our vision because that's the easiest perspective to kind of look at this. And I'm sure most people know how our vision work, but just to set a quick baseline. So first, light passes through the cornea, which is the clear front layer of the eye. The cornea is shaped like a dome and bends light to help the eye focus. Some of this light enters the eye through an opening called the pupil. Side note here. Fish they don't have a pupil. They can't control how much light comes into there. I should say most fish. Do you have something saying differently?
No, I'm just looking up what a fish eye looks like.
So they're still trying to study fish, but there's like a majority of fish can't really control that.
Yeah.
So they get blinded really easily.
No.
And they do have a mechanism where they can swap out the light receptors in their eyes, like the rods and cones, or I guess the rods technically. But it takes 20 to 30 minutes. So dawn and dusk is like optimal hunting time for like predator sharks that have better vision in like lower light or better light.
Yeah.
Because the fish can't see as well during that transition of light.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go down there in deep sea with our subs, with our lights on it, you just like blind the hell out of those fish. And like, I don't know how they recover. Like they're just dazed. Like they can't.
That's sad.
Because like, it's just probably all white.
Okay, I hate that fact.
Sorry.
Getting flashbanged permanently.
Yeah, permanently. So yeah, people say they're fine afterwards, but man, it must take a while to recover. So anyway, so the iris, the color part, controls how much light comes, or lets the pupil let in. Sorry, the iris, the color part of the eye, controls how much light the pupil lets in.
Mm-hmm.
Next, light passes through the lens,
Mm-hmm.
a clear inner part of the eye. The lens works together with the cornea to focus light correctly on the retina. When light hits the retina, a light-sensitive layer of tissue at the back of the eye, special cells called photoreceptors turn the light into electrical signals. Those electrical signals travel from the retina through the optical nerve to the brain. The brain turns the signals into images that you see. Okay, baseline.
Photoreceptors. There are two main types of photoreceptors, folks. We got rods, we got cones, okay?
Heck
rods are called rods because they're shaped like a rod.
Beautiful.
Okay. We have 120 million of them, which is a lot. They send new visual signals to the brain. They specialize in peripheral vision and motion, but they're in grayscale. We obviously don't see in grayscale, so we need cones. Cones are called cones. Why? Because they're shaped like
cones.
We have 6 million cones. 120
Jesus.
million rods, 6 million cones. Cones also send visual signals to the brain. They specialize in color and detail. We have blue, red, and green cones that allows us to see in the color spectrum that we see in. Phototransduction. Hooray!
Yay! Parrots have special like receptors to see UV as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's dope.
The amount of like stuff we're like researching, like I feel like we're just starting to understand rods and cones on the detailed level that humans like to know things.
Yeah.
And then they're able to look at fossils that have like leftover data in their skull and be like, yep, this one had rods and cones like this. They were shaped like this. Put them into a simulator and we can see what kind of color and how good a vision this dinosaur had.
It's insane.
It's extrapolating so far. Well, that's how they're starting to figure out like how dinosaurs looked.
Yeah.
And like feathers and colors based off of what information they're figuring out from the cells that are left over in the fossil record, like how much pigment they have, what kind of pigment cells they have, and then they put it through a simulator.
So cool.
Wait till we have quantum computing. We're going to know exactly what a dinosaur looked, sound liked, what they could see, what they ate. We'll know everything.
That's so sick.
Why is that important? I don't know. It's cool.
Interesting. I'm sure it's important for some reason.
I am sure. Okay, so eyes seem to have appeared 500 million years ago, likely formed from eye pits, which is just a small cluster of cells that sense light. From there, they have developed into complex structures ranging from eyes that help see in low light, seeing far away, seeing through water, and seeing vibrant colors. By the way, light eyes, there's like a type of fish that has 4 eyes.
Yes.
2 for, wait, are you going into this later?
No.
Okay. 2 that are underwater,
Read about 'em.
2 that are in air, because light acts differently in different, like air and water.
That's
and
so
all those
cool.
things. It's insane. So, all right, I don't want to get into like,
Connor's spiraling.
here, I'll back up one more cool fact.
Okay.
So the models for eyes have shown evolutionarily that simple light detecting eyes could take about 1 million years or less to evolve into complex high resolution eyes.
Okay.
Evolution of eyes is insane. I'm not going into that because it verges off so many times and then converges and all that. And they love to run models on eyes to see how they develop and where they're going and stuff like that. And we have a pretty good understanding of that, at least we think. So, I'm gonna, from this point on, I'm gonna get pretty non-scientific.
Okay.
Because I couldn't find a way to communicate it without spending the next 8 hours talking about
equations and evolution.
Yeah, and the types of eyes and the physics
Structure.
and stuff like that. So the non-scientific way we're gonna break this down is there's 2 types of eyes.
Okay.
Don't come at me in the comments if you're a scientist. This is extremely inaccurate. This is the best way to do this.
Okay.
So we'll call simple eyes.
Yep.
Simple eyes are light-sensitive organs that typically do not form images, but rather detect light's intensity and can be used for function like determining direction relative to the sun or responding to changes in light levels. These are characterized by a single lens and a receptor region containing visual pigment.
Okay.
So you have a lot of like aquatic species that have these simple eyes that help them determine, like starfish, like where they're going, how to kind of stay hidden, and like that's all they need to do. Eyes are very expensive to make energy wise. So they're trying to keep them a little bit simpler. And then we're going to so we have the simple eyes, and then we have all the other eyes. Because there's so freaking many, they're constantly changing. I tried to break them down into 8 sections, but it was actually quite boring. So I think some of the coolest eyes come from insects.
Yes.
They have a mixture of different eye types and sensors, and how they bring them into the brain and make sense of it all. Like there's insects that have like 3 simple eyes that look at different spectrums.
Yep.
2 main eyes that get all your visual data to help them move around the world.
Yep.
So I wanted to bring up a quote from Dr. Michael Dixon, which is a bioengineer and neuroscientist at Caltech. He says, a fly has 2 large eyes that cover most of their head. Each eye consists of at least 3,000 individual lenses. With all of these simple eyes, quote unquote, flies can't focus on a single object like we do. Instead, they see the world as kind of a mosaic. This makes them really good at spotting quick moving objects like a fly swatter. Their field of view is almost 360 degrees. How much information?
That's so overwhelming. I cannot imagine
It's
viewing the world like that.
absolutely insane.
Claire teleported.
But I think insect eyes are insane. I
Yeah.
think they're amazing, and I like to learn more about them. So let's learn about some really cool animals real quick and like the structures of their eyes. So here's a diagram of an eagle. We know eagles have really, really good eyes.
Yes.
But why do they have good eyes? And I've helped remove some of these lenses before and put another lens back in, which is a very specialty thing to do. Not many places do it. Shout out to University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine. They're very good at that and pioneering that kind of surgery. So we've got, eagle eye on the left, human eye on the right here. For audio listeners, eagle eye is just a really big lens, like more of like a circular marble, versus on the right, human eye, the lens is a lot smaller, more, I don't know, what's that shape? Teardrop? Not teardrop. Diamond-esque with rounded edges? I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it looks like a gusher.
Much smaller. And they're a much larger cornea for the eagle, much smaller cornea for the humans. How eagles can see insane distances, which an eagle can see 5 times further than a person with 20/20 vision. That translates to being able to spot a rabbit from 3 miles away, which is incredible. But how they're able to do that is they've got specialized muscles and fibers around that large lens, and they're able to change it into crazy shapes to get that distance, and they're still able to see what's right in front of them because of that muscle.
Yeah.
Humans have that, just not to that degree. It changes, the lens can change a little bit, but because of that super strong muscle in the eagle's eye, it's incredibly hard to operate on. And you have to, when you pull that lens out for cataract surgery, if anybody doesn't know, cataracts is like the lens just gets cloudy. It can't see through it anymore, and you got to remove it, and you got to put a man-made lens into there. How do you develop something that can withstand that much muscular force? The answer is you kind of don't, because it's like the lens replacements don't last that long, just a few years. So like you can't really, eagle eye surgery is kind of like low on the list of like, it's like last resort. Like they got only a few more years to live. So anyway, all right, a few more, making it quick. Owls. Owls are insane. So owls have gigantic eyes. If we had the same size of eyes, guess how large our eyes would be, Maya?
Tennis ball? No, golf. In between golf and tennis ball.
Softball.
Okay. Softball's bigger than a tennis ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a large orange or a softball, that size. That helps collect a lot of light, but they also have tubular eyes. So in this diagram here, it's not a nice circle. You just cut off the edges, make it a little bit longer, like it's trapped in there, bam. That's how they have much better night vision. It's because of the size of their eyes and that it's tubular. There's also a lot more rods in them, rods and cones as well. I think it's just rods. Yeah, rods. Rods does, you said rods does night vision, right? The rods. All right, two more. I promise. I'm getting through this. Goats. You love goats, right?
I do.
Their eyes are super cool and kind of...
Isn't that a horse?
You know, it might be a horse. Same. Same eyes.
Say it has the rectangular pupil.
I Googled goat eye, and all I got was like...
It could be a goat eye. It just looks like a horse.
It does look like a horse.
But it's fine.
I got a lot of demonic things, actually.
Oh, okay.
When I Googled that. People are like, here's how you take out a goat's eye to sacrifice it.
Propaganda.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so why do they have rectangular pupils like that? It allows them to see for predators. While they're grazing, they can have 320 to 340 degrees of vision. They only have a narrow blind spot behind their head. So they have a really cool adaptation. Most prey ungulate species, have those horizontal slit eyes to be able to see. And that's a big reason why they were able to survive like wolves and stuff like that pretty easily. All right, last up, the last cool eye structure that's insane that I had to mention, chameleons.
So I love the way their eyes move.
It kind of grosses me out.
What?
But it's cool. Their eyes move independently.
Yeah.
And they can, so they can see almost 360 degrees.
Yeah. And
they can focus independently, and they can zoom like telescopes. Most eyes don't zoom like telescopes.
What?
But they can, yeah.
What do you mean?
Like physically, like elongates the eye. So like it zooms.
Really?
Yeah. Not like a ton, but when it's doing that with the zoom, it allows it to have depth perception. Really good depth perception, so they know how far to put their tongue to hit the insect.
It doesn't work like a zoom in a camera.
Not
like
quite.
Where it like makes something bigger.
No, it does.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Unless it's misinformation on...
That's crazy.
Like
they could look at a circle.
Yeah.
And then zoom, and the circle would be bigger in their field of view. Yeah,
like not like a ton, like 20, 30%. Like it doesn't...
That's a ton. That's
like,
crazy.
Not like super in-depth, like what a lot of people envision.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Oh my gosh.
That's how they get their depth of vision. So that's my nerd out section on 5. No, that was like 3 pages condensed to 1.5.
Okay.
Of research there. So
there you go, guys. If you wanted to know about eyes, today is your day. This episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off? You made the excuse, I'm too busy, it'll heal on its own, I don't need help. I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can feel really daunting, but thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who is right for you. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, and you can click to instantly book an appointment. We are talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty: mental health, dental health, primary care, urgent care, and more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you have, and are highly rated by verified patients. Once you guys find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. Instantly! You can do it within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments.
Stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/wildest to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/wildest, ZocDoc.com/wildest.
I have a cool animal that has really cool eyes and needs them for the way that the animal works.
Okay.
Have you heard, but don't pull up the picture yet. Have you heard about ogre spiders?
No.
Net casting spiders?
No.
Okay, before...
They cast nets out of their butt?
Yes. Before
Cool.
we pull up the picture, I want to tell you guys that spiders are really important and they're really, really great for the environment.
Yeah.
And we love spiders here.
Do.
And you guys should love spiders too. And I recognize that she looks a little bit scary, but know that she is important and she is harmless to humans, cannot hurt you. And I just want you to have an open mind. Okay, you can pull her up. This is an ogre spider.
That's not that bad.
Okay, thank you for saying
Pretty
that.
Cute.
They're found like all over the place. So they're all over like southeastern US. Here's a map of like where they're all at and their head shape.
That's cool.
Where they're from. Very cool map. Okay, so this is like the majority of web-spinning spiders. These are sit-and-wait predators, but they have a very cool hunting strategy. So they're called ogre spiders because of the way they look, but they're also called net casting spiders because of what they do. So instead of sitting in their web, they use a modified orb web that they manipulate using their little two leggies, their interior leg pairs. And they can spin this fuzzy mechanical capture silk instead of like a gluey silk. So orbs, okay, first of all,
Okay,
you know,
not
spider,
gluey. Sorry.
not gluey, freaking mechanical
like tangles them.
capture silk. Yeah, it like alters when it hits exoskeleton of bugs and like becomes really, but anyway.
That's cool.
Spiders, when you think of a spider, you think of a spider web, right? Like a web.
Yeah.
There's only like 10% of spider species that will make webs like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of
I mean, that
spiders
makes
like make silk, but
Right.
only 10% of spider species will actually make webs. These spiders are so cool. We have actually, let's show the picture first of
Weird.
the, okay, so we have a video to show too, but basically, like they make this little web that kind of looks like a little hexagon of really, really, it looks like really thick spiderweb fibers. And they hold it out with their legs. So imagine if you were catching, imagine you got a big fly sheet to catch flies with, and you held it out with your arms, and you were catching flies by like smacking it on the table, and the flies were on the table.
Like a sticky fly?
Yeah.
Sheet? Okay.
Like a fly sheet, and you were catching flies on a table. So you went like, meh.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of how they're using it.
Cool.
And I love this picture because they stand like this, holding the web out, and that's what is looking at you through the web. Audio listeners, sorry, we didn't really describe. Connor said it's not that bad. This spider just has massive eyes, but like kind of a small head. So it's just a little bit alarming, and they kind of, it's weird because their eyes are really round and not like angry pointed, but for some reason they give off like pissed off vibes.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not really sure why.
I
Anyway,
don't know, they kind of looks cute actually.
if you have time later, look up ogre spiders so you can see what this spider looks like. So they're believed to have the largest eyes of all known spider species as far as we know so far. They have the largest simple eyes of any arthropod. They are 2,000 times more sensitive to light than human photoreceptors.
So when that flash hit it, it was just blinded.
GG's, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
2,000 times more sensitive to light than human photoreceptors, so they can do visual hunting at night in low light conditions.
Probably looks like daytime to them.
Yes, this is how they hunt. There's a YouTube link in there. Here's how they hunt. Okay, I can't. They're so funny looking. Okay, so he holds out the web. She's looking through the web, and she's waiting for prey to scuttle by. Okay, here she is waiting, and here comes a cockroach. I believe. Yeah, there's a cockroach. She sits. She waits. She's still. She stares.
Right on target.
And when the roach comes under the web, she grabs him.
Whoa, that's cool.
Isn't that sick?
That's awesome.
And they can do that like in the dark.
It then punctures its
You gotta move fast, guys. She had to move so fast to grab it. And then the web like changes. I don't know exactly how this works. I just know that the web changes when it hits exoskeleton a bug, and makes it impossible for them to get away. Then they bite the bug, and then they liquefy it and they drink it.
Wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's
They're
a good
so
strat.
sick. So sick. So they did, not that you really need to know. I feel like you can look at the spider and be like, yeah, they hunt with vision because look at its eyeballs. But they did do a field study where they temporarily occluded the posterior median eyes, the big eyes, by putting opaque dental silicone on them with a wooden toothpick. And turns out, shocker, they didn't do as well.
Sad.
So all that to say, like, yes, they're using their eyes to hunt in low light conditions. And then one last picture for the road.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Angel spider.
It's hanging out on the hands.
I love
They're pretty big.
them. Yeah, they're pretty big. I don't know where this one was taken, but I think they're so cute. Ogre spiders.
That is really cool. I think it's really cool. Like how do they see all that low light, but then also be able to track that motion?
Yeah.
And then be able to jump on it. So I wanted to talk about a very confusing concept that I'm going to simplify down. There's going to be some gamer terms, make this easy. And then I'm also going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about time and the concept of time. Okay. So critical flicker fusion frequency.
Yep.
We're going to call it CFF.
Okay.
We're going to make that simple. So it's measured in hertz, and here's the textbook definition. It is defined as the frequency at which flickering light can be perceived as continuous and is used to assess the processing of temporal vision. That is, long story short, of like, here's the broad definition, the little bit more simplified. It's how does visual information get processed, or how fast does visual information get processed in the eye and brain? Okay. So think like you're seeing, like dragonflies see 300 pictures a second, so 300 hertz, which is insane. A human's eye, they think is 60 hertz. They can see in 60 hertz, so 60 frames a second. But there's like all these studies like, well, if this is different, they can only see in like 30 hertz. This different, they can see 155 hertz. And so they're like, we actually need to break it down and have 10 different more measurements for this.
Do you know what a fly is?
Like
a housefly?
Species such as blowflies and dragonflies were able to detect changes at the highest rate where vision could handle 300 hertz. Yeah.
So that's why if I walked up to Connor and out of nowhere I slapped him in the face, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. But in the air, if you try to slap a fly, they can dodge it. Because
they're seeing 300 pictures a second. And they're processing all of that information. So that goes into like why it's important. So they can dodge. They can
dodge
weave.
Rain, guys. Like flies, dragonflies, I assume too, can just fly through rain. Imagine trying to fly through rain. That's crazy.
No shot. So like people tried to equate it to like FPS in gaming, and it like doesn't always work out. But like let's imagine that you're playing CS:GO.
Imagine.
And you had the same understanding or the same
CS2
CFF of CS2. You're right. I played it last night for the first time in a long time, Maya.
I was playing with you.
She did better than me, for the record. All right, so imagine you have 300 hertz CFF, and your computer is also putting out that much information.
Yep.
So someone's peeking around the corner, and you're gonna be able to see that pixel so freaking fast that you're gonna be able to move that aim probably within 10 to 20 frames in that second, that 300 frame per second. So you're going to be able to tap those heads so fast, faster than anybody else.
Dude, we gotta get Dragonflies on CS2.
It would be insane. You would just time would so they looked into this. They were like, does time slow down for animals that have really high CFF? Because they're experiencing 300 frames a second versus we're only doing 60. So time has to change. So this study at the Dublin University was published in the Journal of Animal Behavior, showed that small-bodied animals with fast metabolic rates, such as some birds and ones that have higher CFF, perceive more information in a unit of time, hence experiencing time more slowly than large-bodied animals with slow metabolic rates, such as large turtles. And they went on to say that their perception of time is much slower. So like a housefly lives, 2 weeks? That 2 weeks to them, if we had to equate it out into some math, would probably be like a few months. So their life is they experience it differently. So it's much further along. They have a lot more time, I guess.
It feels like more time to them. Obviously not
compared
more
to us.
time. Yes.
Well, time is relative, kind of. It's like the further away you get from Earth, the slower time is. But time is also what you experience. Your experience time, I guess, would be the better way to say it. So you have like Push Pop or Tortoise. She's slow.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of research on this with Georgie as well, because Georgie, we have this African bullfrog, and I don't remember what the rate is, but it is low. And so I was like, so when I go to pick up Georgie, is he just like there, and then I pick him up and he's dangling in the air? And he's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
We gotta move slow.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I remember looking it up. It was like a few frames a second, you know, as long as you keep it within like a few seconds of movement, he'll process it. But that's why he sucks at catching crickets.
Yep.
So he has to wait for things to like slow down and be still, and then he jumps for it.
That is so crazy.
So the slowest eyes belong to the crown of thorn starfish at 0.7 hertz.
That sucks.
Yeah, so they're getting like...
So for them, it's like it's moving not fast, faster, or it's like
But like if they're only seeing one frame every 1.3 seconds, like their life is just so slow comparative to ours, because they can only react very slowly. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about time relative with animals, but that makes me feel better about like slower or really fast moving, like dragonflies.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so sad they only live, a few months. But in reality, they're having a full life that's experienced much longer than we think.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
So, because they're able to get 300 seconds of information, all different sorts of information. If they had emotions, they could experience so many more emotions than we could, because they're getting different information, so much more information at a time, so they could react at different rates.
They could have emotions.
They could. We don't know.
Oh.
But if they watched, a bunch of... Never mind, I don't have to go down that rabbit hole anymore. But anyway, I thought it was extremely...
It hurts my brain to think about. I hate thinking about time.
Yeah. But the CFF, they're still doing a lot more research on it, because they're like, how can we increase humans' information so that they could take in more information and be more responsive in athletics and in war. So maybe we'll have a Dragonfly super soldier one day. That would suck. I hope not, but maybe one day.
They would be unstoppable. Surely they have superheroes that are like that, where it's
like the Flash.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Like you try to hit them and there's no chance.
Yeah.
Because they're too fast.
Do you want me to go into some really cool other facts I've got?
Sure. Okay.
So magnetic vision. One of the best birds or animals that we know of, it's just a new study to understand magnetic vision, is European robins.
Okay.
They think they're the most sensitive to the magnetic fields on the planet Earth, but it's really hard to like study this. So what they did is they took some European robins, they put them in a lab, and they were like, here's a bunch of magnets all around them, and then they stronger magnets than the Earth magnetic field, and then they directed them with the magnets to food sources, basically. Long story short, they were like, are they sensitive to magnetic fields? And the answer is yes. And then they're able to be like, all right, what is causing that? And they found is a protein called cryptochrome, and they're magnetically sensitive, and they're looking at 3,000 other proteins to determine how sensitive they are.
So is it that they're able to like see, quote unquote,
that's what
magnetic fields, or we don't know?
We don't know. That's what the articles want you to think. There are people like, oh, it's just like
they can see lines across
heads up display. Sure, yeah. No. What they're thinking, it's more of just like a feeling for when they're migrating. Because like all migratory birds technically should have this.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of a lot of things and a lot of light and timing of the year and temperatures and weather. But then the magnetic fields come in to help kind of guide them instinctually. And it's they think those proteins are sending kind of some subtle signals to the brain, to the body, to guide them in that direction.
That is so crazy.
It's so weird.
So you think butterflies have that too? Migratory butterflies?
Yeah. I think anything migratory would. My assumption, hypothesis. There's not a lot of money in this. It's also really hard to study this kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
And like the other studies are like, we're using like strong, super, like 10 times stronger magnets than what the Earth can put out. So like, is this actually true?
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, we really won't ever know 100%, but this is what we think.
Crazy. I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
It's a bird.
Okay.
Griffin vulture. I would just like to say that griffin vultures, Connor said that a bald eagle can see a rabbit from, 3 miles away?
Yeah.
A griffin vulture could see Connor from 10 miles away.
That's so cool.
Isn't that bizarre? They can detect a 2-meter target from 16 kilometers away. That is a Connor from 10 miles away. Look at this bird. 2.3 to 2.8 meter wingspan. It's 7 feet 7 inches to 9 foot 2 inch wingspan. It is a huge bird. And you know, if you live where griffin vultures live, don't think that they're not looking at you right now, because they probably are.
They're so cool.
They probably see you. You don't even see them.
Huge.
So cool to think about. If
you
guys
met one,
huh?
You met one in Ireland.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. This whole conversation, if you guys are enjoying this conversation, what is that book called? Frick. Oh, In Immense World. If you like thinking about stuff like this, you should read that book, because the whole book is about how animals experience the world so differently than we do. And we assume that everything experiences the world like humans. That's where anthropomorphizing comes from, right? Is we're just like, oh, they don't have XYZ, so they must not be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, they can't hear, or they can't hear this, so they must not enjoy music, or whatever it may be. But animals just experience the world so freaking differently in color, in speed and time.
Apparently.
It's crazy to think about. All that to say, like, I guess be very gentle with animals that you interact with and how you interact with them. And don't think that they're just like us.
Yep.
Because they're not.
Don't shine lights on them. They're nocturnal.
Yeah.
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 That's insane. I have one more.
Okay.
To talk about. So we think that a mantis shrimp has the most complex vision.
Yeah.
So apparently, mantis shrimp, I say apparently because this one I was getting a lot of conflicting information, and this is the best source I've found.
Okay.
So don't quote me on it in any scientific articles. Mantis shrimp have 16 photoreceptors and can see UV, visible, and polarized light. In fact, they are the only animal known to be able to detect circular polarized light, which is when the wave component of the light rotates in a circular motion, like when often seen in bioluminescence and light reflecting off iridescent materials like soap bubbles, beetle shells, and opals. Some research suggests that they use circular polarized light as a secret communication system for courtship. Each eye moves independently, making their field of vision top-notch as well. Did I just blow your mind?
Yeah, but I need like a...
It's the physics.
I need like a simulation. Like I need someone to animate what it looks like.
Right.
Which I understand that we can't see it, but I need that to understand it.
And good news for you. There's nothing out there like that right now that I could find.
Good.
So you
I'm
got
so
to
glad.
visualize it.
I'm so glad. We could draw like what we imagine it to look
Yeah,
like. But it would be wrong.
bioluminescence and light reflecting off iridescent material. So like fish scales and stuff like that. So it makes it easier to see what's going on. So like the camouflage.
It's like freaking birds that can see UV and crows.
Mm-hmm.
And crows to us, like crows are black, right? Like we're used to seeing just like black American crows, but to each other, they look dope. They look like a freaking galaxy.
And like they're all different and they can tell individuals based off of that coloration.
Yes. Yeah. How crazy is that? Peacock jumping spiders that do the little freaking dance thing.
Yeah.
Jumping spiders can see in a greater color spectrum than we can.
So they're seeing
So they already look crazy to us. Like they look like there's so many colors. I can't even imagine what they look like to each other. Jumping spiders have a filter squashed between two layers of green sensitive photoreceptors, which along with UV give them an even wider rainbow of colors than humans. So yeah, who knows what they look like to each other.
and to them that's normal. But if we got to see that and like
and we can't even imagine it because it's colors that we can't see. Like
imagine we got access to way more colors.
Yeah.
And like we could design so much more cool things with colors and have really cool colored houses. Be cool. It's a new venture we need to go into. Specialized glasses.
specialized glasses, jumping spider glasses.
Yeah.
Sick.
That'd be sick. This was probably one of the hardest episodes.
Yeah.
Trying to make it complex and then streamline it to make sense.
Yeah.
It was a struggle. So hope you guys enjoy the ride. I felt like we're all over the place.
This was a bit of a doozy. World's Wildest listeners. Some of the episodes are really light and easy and like, ooh, wombat.
Yeah.
This one was tough. If this was your first episode and you made it this long, congratulations. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are a World's Wildest listener, I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. So many of you are every episode enjoyers, and we are so grateful for that. Thank you.
This is 57, right?
Oh,
yeah,
57. We're going to go to the Patreon now and film some bonus content. If you are following us or subscribe to us on Patreon, thank you. We will see you over there. Like and subscribe.
Goodbye.
Bye.